That's a big deal. Oh, I know. So wait a minute. The Eagles have $400 million owed on that with voidable, and the next closest team has 200. Yeah, okay. Yeah, hey, look at that. Let's bring in Zander here. By the way, got to give him his dues here, man. Absolutely awesome. My boy, Benji, Zander Krause joins us now.
What's up, Big Sales? How you doing, brother?
Dude, you don't think this is coincidence, do you, man?
No.
Come on.
I think you made a really compelling case for it to not be coincidence when you show everything that's going on with it. And it makes sense. I mean, I don't know. Where John makes a good point is like, is it just they're trying to bring everybody back to the pack?
Yes.
You know, and the Eagles are just kind of in the crosshairs because they're so good. Now they are. I don't think it's because they hate the Eagles. I just think they want to clump everybody up again.
That's
you know?
right. Parity.
Yeah. So I could see that. But you know, so if you give 10 people an advantage, right, and one guy figures out how to use the advantage better than everybody else, and then you take away that advantage, it hurts the team or the guy or the team, in this case, the team that capitalizes on it the most. It hurts them the most. So, yeah, it's tough for the Birds. This is a big hit. This is a lot bigger than the tush push.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And my point is this, Zander. So my point is, wait a minute here. It's one thing, Zander, if like the differences were like 200 million to, I don't know, 240 million. You know what I'm saying? This is 400 million to 200 million.
Yeah, they're double the second. Who's the second?
49ers. 49ers are second at 209, 204. The Eagles are almost 200 million in voidable contracts and voidable years. How is that not taken? When you said that this morning, and John goes, it's not a league thing. I mean, it's not an Eagle hate thing. And I agree to that. And I agree to what you just said. They like parity, man. I call it mediocrity sometimes. They do not want a team to get further ahead, and they do not want a team to be able to use loopholes. It's like they found a loophole in the tax code and how he's utilizing it to the best of his ability.
Yeah. Again, how much do you think this affects? I think this affects him a lot. Like, you know, because John was saying today, well, they're still the best evaluating team. And my point, I was trying to get the point across of, but you can't evaluate that many good players. Like, for example, if they implemented this rule and they got rid of void years, would you have AJ, Devontae, Saquon, Jalen, top four of the best offensive linemen in the league, and Dallas Goedert? No way. So like their evaluation is going to be significantly hindered as well because they're not going to have as much room to bring in all the talent that they brought into this point.
You can't keep them. Is where you're going. That old line will be cut in half. You'll have to determine.
Well, they're already.
You'll have to determine. Do you want to keep Landon, or do you want to keep Cam Jurgens?
No, see, I still think the Eagles would prioritize the O-line. I think it's going to be Goddard gone, AJ gone, Devontae Smith. You need to be wide receiver 1 and 2.
You're still going to have to exit guys without voidable years.
Yeah, well, I agree with that, but I don't know when this could come into effect. I think because this would be technically, would this be through the CBA? I think John said it would be through the CBA,
it has to.
Which could essentially, as you pointed out earlier in the show, could essentially be ripped up at any time and renegotiated.
Can I tell you where the owners are going to negotiate this? I think this goes into play next year, which means it could affect the Jalen Carter deal. Do you know what they're going to do? Here's what the owners, I'm being told, are going to offer the players. They're going to give you more money when it comes to streaming and gambling and payouts for players in revenue. And for them to be able to go in and manipulate the voidable years, that's how the players are going to make more money when it comes to their contracts because of new revenue coming in. Remember, they're going to dangle. They're going to dangle more games. And I heard you say something too.
Yeah, but what's the advantage for the players? If you're going to say more games, you're going to get rid of
the gambling and
I'm talking about for the players in the CBA.
Yeah, for the players will benefit on the stream. The players
the teams are benefiting from that.
But wait, the salary cap is based off of TV.
So you're saying the cap is going to go up, contracts are going to go up. So I guess is there no real hit to the players from void years being removed? No, right? That's just more of an organizational problem.
Correct. And what the owners are trying to do with that is it controls the salaries.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to spend.
Big time.
You're not going to be able to like Howie's not going to be able to go, well, let me sign this guy for 40. Let me sign this guy for 40. Let me sign that guy for 40. Howie would just look at those last 3 years and make them stupid years. And he would spread the money out and he would give you that bag of money up front. Those cap hits, like Hurts' deal.
So this hurts Howie. This hurts Howie in the front office and potentially Jeffrey, because if he's going to want to keep as many people around, he's going to have to give even more money up front than he already does.
And for whatever it's penalizing people doing their job, in my opinion.
Yeah, but they're trying to even the playing field, like we talked about at the start. Yeah, I mean, the Eagles are so far ahead of everybody with this. And, John brought up a good point, too. Lurie just deserves credit because, I mean, he's not the richest owner out there. There's Stan Kroenke could do this. He could do this to the tune of $600 million. Yes, the Jacksonville guy, all of them could. David Tepper, right? Another good one. There's a bunch of them that could do this. Now, when you're talking about the Bengals and some of those other teams, they're not going to be able to do it nearly as much. Yeah.
Nashville, shit like that. Right. So OTAs, I got 10 questions here. Well, let me ask you, who's Sidney Brown?
A backup.
Wow.
Back up to Andrew Makuba.
So would that be a failure pick at 3? A third rounder?
Well, you're getting good special teams. It's not a home run pick, that's for sure. But if you get competent special teams play for 4 years, now he wasn't full 4 years because he was injured. But yeah, I mean, they clearly didn't they? Isn't this evaluation already been made?
Technically, I think so.
Unless they let Reed Blankenship walk and it becomes Sidney Brown Makuba, which I don't think it's likely, but it's certainly not impossible. Then I would say it's probably a little bit of a. But I wouldn't call it a bust.
How about Yale's word? Disappointing.
I'm good with Yale's word. I would agree with Yale. Disappointing.
But
I mean, look, he's only a 2-year player, right? He could still. I mean, he could have a better 2 years. Most third-round picks don't hit until year 3. Look at Milton. Like if we judge Milton after year 2, we'd be like, that was a fail too. So you got to give him some time. I just don't see. Like I think Makuba's going to be your day one starter. I think he's going to get the first team reps from the start. I don't think they're even thinking that it's going to be Sidney Brown. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be Makuba. And I think Makuba's going to be good, by the way. I was watching some more of his tape. He's going to be good in coverage stills. He might not make as many plays as C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but I think he could be as good in coverage as C.J. Gardner-Johnson by like middle of the year. Like he's a pretty good coverage player. Now, he's not going to make interceptions and stuff as much probably, but I think he could be good in coverage. Remember, last year, one of our worst coverage guys in the backfield was C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He got beat a lot. So I think that could be good for Makuba. But Brown, I don't see how he gets on the field this year.
I agree with Senor. I mean, a special teams guy being a third
rounder. You agree with Senor. Let me see what he said, because that's rare.
Senor, I think Senor's right, man. I mean, a special teams guy, a third rounder. Dude, man, I mean, I'm not there on that. I mean, you're talking – I'll tell you where, though. Don't you feel better? By the way, all supers will be read at the end. Don't you agree with this, though? Well, Sidney may not have panned out, maybe a little disappointing now, but Reed Blankenship being a UDFA has totally panned out. And doesn't that kind of cover that?
Oh, yeah. Just like Mailata, dude. Remember, in the same draft, Sills, we took Andre Dillard in the first round and Jordan Mailata in the 7th. Does anybody care that we missed on Andre Dillard?
No.
Right? You landed on one of the best left tackles in football. Just got it at a different round. So as long as it all works, when the picks really hurt is when you need a player, you draft a player, you're counting on a player to develop, and then they don't develop and your team suffers because of it. So they got contingencies though at most spots. That's what I think Smile Munden is. As much as people like Trotter Jr. and Nakobe Dean, take your pick. If Nakobe goes down, he's been down 3 of 3 years. So he's shooting 100% from the field and not finishing a season. Trotter or Munden if he works out. You know, they get insurance. They seem to get insurance at most places.
Hedge their bets. That's one of my
a little bit.
That's one of my
and that's where John's right, by the way, Sills, where their evaluation's been so good in recent years that whether their main pick hit or their hedge pick hit, they hit.
Yeah, that's right. No question about
look at last year's defense, man. It was a crazy combination of that was not a built like the offense, and where you assembled a bunch of all-stars and got a lot out of it. That was way different.
Absolutely. Let me go to this one here. Do you think there's a role for Will Shipley in the passing game?
Very minimal.
Is there a role for him anywhere?
Like, to me, it's very minimal. To me, it's even more minimal than what Kenny Gainwell was last year. Like, I don't see him playing. I don't know how much Kenny Gainwell played last year, by the way. I don't know what his percentage of snaps was last year, but I don't see it being very big for Will Shipley. I mean, when Saquon Barkley takes a 60-yarder and you see him when he sometimes wheezes on the sideline, that's when Will Shipley is going to be in the game. Outside of that, I don't see when he's going to be on the field outside of that.
I just don't know what his role is.
I don't either. It's a good question. I don't, what are any of those roles? I think AJ Dillon has, if he's healthy and if he can make it to the season, I think he serves more of a purpose for this team than a guy like, Will Shipley does.
Okay. Tell me this year, Jordan Davis's role will be what? Same as a year ago? More? Less? You lose Milton Williams. What are you expecting out of him here? This is the 13th pick, and I'm sorry to keep bringing that up, but it is a factor that you just lost Milton. I already know what I'm getting with Jalen Carter, and I know I'm going to continue to see that guy get better. But doesn't Jordan Davis have to pick some roll up here, some of the weight by the 2D linemen being like exited off the team? Like, what are you looking at this year with him and that player's role?
All right, let me ask you this. If I asked you to forget about the 13th pick for just a second.
All right.
And you know what he contributed to the team last year. I'm not talking about future projections or any of those things. What he contributed last year. Would you pay $13 million for that?
And I was number one.
Would you pay $13 million for what Jordan Davis brought to that defense last year?
I would, in the context of having all those guys of a year ago and what his role was. He was a role player, dude.
Yeah, no doubt.
He was not he was not a fixture on that defense. I mean, when you're a first and second down, you're a role player.
Yeah,
just like when you have a pass rusher. So my problem with that is, okay, you're paying a $13 million role player. I mean, that's a lot of money for a guy. Now, look, he was instrumental in the run defense. It was important, and it is important. But, man, I'm paying a lot of money for role players. Bryce Huff, this guy, these are one-dimensional ball players.
Remember we did that ranking of the defense, the top 11, like who was most important to the defense?
Yeah.
Where would you put Jordan Davis in that?
He's got to be one of the most complex players to talk about because he is important. If you're going to have a defense and be the number one defense, you got to stop the run. You proved one thing a year ago. You don't need a prolific pass rusher, but you need a great run stopper. So his importance to me can fluctuate anywhere from, on defense, of the 11 guys, 5 or 6 in the middle, somewhere in there.
Am I frozen or am I back, by the way?
No, you're here.
I'm good. All right. I was frozen out for a second. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because still, the secondary is not as good if he's not up there stopping the run. Not. Right. So that's why he's such a tough value. Everything about Jordan Davis, the player, the money, the impact, everything is a tough evaluation. It's not so clear cut. Like Jalen Carter, like anchor of the defense, top defensive tackle in football, get out the checkbook. With Jordan, you're like, all right, he's probably worth more than 10, but is he worth 15? Is he worth 12? Is he worth 13? How good's our defense without him? All of those questions come up with him. So I think it's tough. I think it's tough. My expectation, though, to answer your original question for him this year, is to be a really good version of what he was last year. I'm not coming into the season expecting him to be a pass rusher. I don't think that's a realistic expectation going into, what is he going into, year 4 now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, year 4 is you're there now. You know, I mean, you're getting close to veteran. What is veteran in the NFL? 5 years?
3 years.
Is that
3
what it
years?
is? 3 years?
Yeah, you got to play 3 years into your actually, it's 3 years into your 4th year. You have to play 3 games this year, and he'll be a vested ball player. He's coming into a vested year. Zander, do you know what the average years are for an NFL ball player? It's 3 years. Why? Because NFL makes a decision on you whether or not they're going to vest you. That's why the average NFL career is 3 years.
What's the vest? 4 years?
It's 3 years, and in your 4th year, 3 games.
3 games, right.
Into your 4th year, then you become a vested ball player.
Chris is saying, how about the amazing shape he came to camp in? I didn't see that. Was there a picture of him today or something?
Yeah, but that's irrelevant to me, man. That
was a big issue with him, though, because but
I thought he was in great shape last year.
He was in much better shape last year. He was a contributor in the playoffs, man. He had a couple sacks, I think, in the playoffs.
Actually, if you want to go to last year, I thought his best part of his year was the final 3 games of the regular season and into the playoffs. I thought that's where he earned his money, Zander. He earned his money the last 3 regular season games that he played, and he earned himself in the playoffs. I mean, I thought he was in much better shape. Dude, this is a skill set thing. This is not about shape, because Vic's going to keep his ass in shape. All right, let me move to this one.
Oh, wait, by the way, you remember last week when I asked you who was going to be the next Philly star after BJ, and you said Cooper DeJean?
Yeah.
Apparently, Cooper DeJean was ripping the Jersey Shore this weekend at all the bars and the beach bars and stuff, all the honeys racked up around him. I'm like, Sileo might be right. Cooper DeJean is taking on the stardom, baby.
Great white hope, man. There he is. All right.
He was in Ocean City.
Oh, I love that. What's Ben Van Simmeren or Ben Van McMullen? Is he really going to have a big role? I mean, are they really going to go fullback this year, which means they're going to take the third wideout out of the offense? Are they going to go more power high type stuff this year? Do you think that guy's role is going to be big, or do you think it's going to be smaller? How do you look at that role of a fullback? Because even Jeffrey Lurie a couple months ago was saying, hey, John Ritchie, I think you're going to be very happy that you're going to see the emergence of the fullback again. Do you think this is going to be a big play inside this organization this year, especially offensively, where you're going to see a fullback a lot of times in games?
I think it's possible. I mean, even Sills, even based on the way the owner's talking, right? Like the owner's now gotten behind all of this bully ball football mentality. So hey, maybe it's something they'll end up doing this year. I feel like not really, because, I mean, listen, Sills, you're paying all this money to wide receivers. Now you're gonna line up in the I formation with a fullback, dude. I don't think so. So maybe in very 5 to 10%, maybe. I don't even think that much, but I think they could use it, and I think he'll be used for the tush push or whatever this year's version of it is. I like Van Simmeren though. He's athletic, dude. He's an interesting ball player, kind of one of those do everything guys, but isn't really great at one thing. I'm interested in seeing what he does, but they keep him around every year. So is it Ben Van McMullen, or is it like Ben Van Roseman? Because Howie loves him too.
Hey, dude, also too, Nick likes him.
Yeah, Nick does like him. Nick likes everybody though. I mean, come on.
He does. All right. So who's Keely Ringo?
That's a good question. Starter?
I don't know.
I think he's a promising young prospect right now, but that's it. Right? I'm not gonna say that he's gonna be good, but I do think he's got promise. Like I think he has, as you always say, potential, which is a bad word. I agree. But I do think he has it. I think he has that potential to be that. I mean, again, we always talk about this. Anybody who ever watched him in the SEC, he was a great cornerback. So physical. Now, how will his game fair at the NFL level? I don't know. The other thing is Isaiah Rodgers played above him last year. Now, John said that's because Isaiah is more versatile and it just fit the role better. But I think that shows you that Vic Fangio thought Isaiah Rodgers was better than him. So unproven, good potential, young prospect. That's what Keely Ringo is.
I just got a text message from somebody at the Bucks. How something Reddick missed his first OTA.
Yeah, I saw that. That was on Twitter today.
Oh,
yeah, but does that matter? They're all voluntary. They're not mandatory.
Where in the hell do you live? Dude, what you think how many times you think Nick Saban had hey, you know what?
Yeah, but it's different, man. Dude, this is a different world now, man.
Okay,
this
let's use Bill Belichick.
A different world from Bill Belichick. And that dude's being, whipped around on a string and a ball and chain by some young chick. Like, I'm not really.
It's one thing though. It's one thing to like be a veteran guy on a team that you've been there forever. It's another guy when you haven't even lined up with these guys yet and done any kind of practicing whatsoever. I don't know, man. And especially coming off of his history of last year.
I'm happy we got rid of him.
Maybe now, you know what? It's starting to make sense why they didn't like him.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy they got rid of him, but I don't really think it means that he's going to like walk on Tampa.
No,
I just think he's a prima donna. I mean, he's a major prima donna.
Okay.
And if you grew up around here, Philly prima donnas are different. He grew up around here. I think he grew up in Camden and then he went to college at Temple for at least a couple of years. So yeah, he's a Philly prima donna. Those are different than those Southern prima donnas, all right, that you constantly refer to.
Okay. John Campbell, when can we expect, or when do you feel, or do you not feel, does he make an impact on the team? What will his, I mean, right now you don't know what the thing is. I mean, you have no idea. It's all on paper and a chalkboard.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not really going to have any kind of way of looking at him. I see people in here putting Campbell 2027. I mean, bro, that's a first round pick.
2027. That's 3 years out.
No, not 20. Yeah, not.
26.
26.
Here's what I think. This is my gut feeling on Campbell, and I have no idea if I'm going to be anywhere close to correct, but I think year one is going to be really underwhelming, like for the whole year. I don't think there's going to be a carved out role for him because he might return too late in the year to switch the whole defense around. If Jacoby Dean's healthy by that point, where is he lining up? Does he just become a rotational edge rusher late in the year? I think year one is going to be really underwhelming, but I think long term, he's going to become the best piece of the Vic Fangio defense, just in that he's so versatile. Vic can use him in so many different ways, and his skill set is so, wide. I think he's going to be one of the better players on defense, but I don't think it's going to be year one. I think it's going to take a little bit for sure here. I don't think because like Sills, like I just said, even if he comes back week 9, by that point, Jacoby Dean's definitely healthy. All right. You probably already have a good idea of your edge rusher situation. Now, maybe you need a good edge, so maybe he gets a lot of playing time there, or Jalix Hunt looks better, or, whoever Azeez Ojulari slotted into that role. Who knows? But I just don't see him getting on the field that much right now, rookie year.
Do you agree that the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and where they picked at 31, they moved up from 32 to 31, and he gets a redshirt year, and that the only reason that he gets that redshirt year is because, again, here's a guy that was projected to be a 15th pick in the NFL draft. You got a guy down at 31. I completely think this guy's going to be a really good football player. I love him when he was at Alabama, the things he did. I'll tell you this, the things he did at Alabama, I think he's better than the guy Campbell that the Detroit Lions drafted in the first round 3 years ago. I think he's better than him.
They're different. They're much different players.
I think the kid Campbell's more versatile.
Yeah, the Eagles Campbell. Yeah, I agree with that. But I just don't know. I mean, look, Jack Campbell in Detroit has proven it at the NFL level. I don't know if Jack.
Really good.
Yeah, he's really good. So I don't know if Jack. Remember that draft, by the way? Everybody, the Detroit Lions in that draft were written about the days after that draft like the losers of the draft, because they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs at 12 and then Jack Campbell at 18, and everyone was like, why did you do that? Both of those players were a big part of the reason that they were a great team last year. So, yeah, interesting how it all shapes out. But now he's a good player. I don't know. Jihad right now is a little confusing to me, Sills. And I think Nakobe Dean's gunning to be back, man. He knows. He's not dumb, dude. He sees the writing on the wall. He's like, dude, they got linebackers everywhere, man. If I don't get back healthy, I will not get back on the field. And then I'll be looking for a minimum contract just to get on the field somewhere after this year. You know, he knows even if he doesn't stay in Philly, he's got to play this year for the Eagles. Nakobe Dean knows that. I think he's working his ass off to get back.
Let me ask you something here. Do you think there's any chance during OTAs and training camp we see Cooper DeJean out there at the corner?
Yeah, I think there's a big chance. If Vic Fangio feels like the hole at corner is too big to overcome and he can make up for it at slot, and it's done. He's out. He's going right out there.
He's going out there. He's going to look at Sidney Brown and he's going to look at Makuba. And if both of those players look great in camp, why wouldn't you drop one of those guys into the nickel and then put him out wide, Cooper?
It's a big ass, though, right?
What's that?
I mean, that's a pretty big ass, just considering.
Yeah, but I'm going by John telling me they evaluated him first and initially as a corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not a slot corner.
But that was, remember, evaluation from the draft guys is a lot different than Vic Fangio. Like, he proved that. I mean, Howie didn't sign Zach Bond to be what Zach Bond was last year. So Vic Fangio now has a different say on it. So I don't know. Maybe his long-term plans are like, I'm not moving this guy. Are you crazy? Look at him. He's the best slot corner in football. Why would I move him? Maybe that's his take. His take could also be, yeah, that secondary is brutal. Post Slay, post Gardner Johnson. We better get him over there. Maybe. I like Cooper DeJean as an outside corner. I think he'd be a great one. I really do. But do you think are they going more toward Cooper DeJean, if Jihad Campbell pans out, you got Zach Bond, are you Nolan Smith smaller, Jalix Hunt? Are they getting more guys that are kind of, not as they're more positionless players? Yeah, interchangeable positionless players. I'm wondering
because that's what your defense was filled with a year ago. You had a bunch of really good athletes on your football team a year ago.
Yeah, it's interesting to see.
See, to me, I do this. If Keely Ringo is not cutting it, and I don't think that guy is going to be the dude, and I guarantee you, aren't you doing this if you're Nick Sirianni and Vic Fangio? Aren't you having Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown work that dude out in OTAs and in minicamp and in training camp? Aren't you working though? Because you're not going to play against two better players anywhere in the NFL on a consistent and weekly basis than those guys. This is the great thing that he has on evaluating. Because don't you think he can look at his corners now and go, that dude's not cutting it, man. I mean, do I have to put Adoree Jackson, a guy who was waived by the Giants, out there? Or do I put Cooper DeJean and Adoree Jackson out there?
What about Eli Ricks? Dude, that dude's having a hell of an offseason.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how you evaluate that position.
Stills, you know how it goes. Some dudes who, sometimes, if you thrive elsewhere, you thrive in everything. I'm just wondering. Eli Ricks had a good offseason. Maybe he's going to come in and be ready to lock down CB2.
Oh man, yeah. One thing I do agree with Jeff Kerr. If I hear anybody telling me how great somebody looked during OTAs, I'm with you. I'm like, all right, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah.
Jeff and John, they were like Grinch and Scrooge this morning. Those two dudes.
Great.
I'm like, oh my God, you two.
I was laughing so fucking hard, man.
I'm like, dude, I bet you guys are showing misery. Like they're miserable, man, about their jobs. I'm like, relax, folks.
Let me tell you this, man. I'm promising you. I'm promising you, man, that those dudes, when they go out there and they see those guys playing in there, you hear people going, oh my God, what a great practice. You got to be kidding. You can get good work during these OTAs and you can see whether a guy's a good backpedaler, but they are right about one thing. You're not going to see these guys until they get into a football game in the exhibition season. Let me get to another one here. So we talked about Sidney Brown, and you called him a good player, but a backup. Well, will Tyler Steen win the right guard spot? And if he doesn't, there's another third rounder that you have to say, as great as Stoutland is, he couldn't have an impact on Tyler Steen. This is the second year in a row. If he doesn't win it now, do we not agree, Zander? I mean, we're looking at a whole different ball game here with him being a backup guard.
I think it's Pryor. I think it's going to be Matt Pryor.
Me too.
Yeah. I don't see it with Tyler Steen, bro. Alabama kid too, so I want to like him, but I just don't see it. He wasn't great last year when he came. Wasn't awful, but I just don't think he's good enough. I think he's a reserve guy. That's what I think he is. I don't think he's meant to be a starter in the league. And I think Matt Pryor, Jeff Stoutland's just going to see that experience and be like, hey, I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go with that right there. So I don't think Tyler Steen will be the starter, but I do think he's going to get the first reps. So we'll see what ends up happening with him. But that would be kind of a little bit of a letdown as a pick. He was drafted. Yeah, but he was drafted, I think, like pretty high in the third round, right?
Yeah, he was a high third round
65th pick. Overall pick, dude. That was the very beginning of the third round. I think that's the first pick of the third round. And think about this. Andrew Makuba was drafted with the last pick in the second round at 64 overall. So Tyler Steen is closer to where Makuba was drafted than where like Milton Williams or Jalix Hunt was drafted in the 90s and the hundreds. So, he's been a little bit of a letdown, but we'll see. I mean, I think he's going to have a chance to win it. And, the best part about right guard for all Philadelphia fans, I think most Philadelphia fans believe this, is they're confident that Jeff Stoutland's going to make the right move. And they got so many guys there still. There's like 8 dudes, man, battling for that spot. I feel like we're going to be fine at right guard, whether he wins it or not.
Finally here with this, what rookie do you think out of this rookie class will have the biggest impact on the team?
What was that?
What rookie that was drafted do you think has the biggest impact for Vic or anyone, even offensive line, the guys that were drafted late? Who has the biggest impact off this rookie class?
So the default answer has got to be Makuba, because I think Makuba is going to be your starting safety. So it's going to be Makuba. But I think a sleeper is Ty Robinson, where if Morojomo doesn't make a step up, I think Morojomo is going to make a step up. But you do need defensive linemen right now. So I think Ty Robinson could come in there, and if Ty Robinson is versatile, Sills, does that change what the organization thinks about keeping Jordan Davis? I don't know. I don't think Ty Robinson serves that role, but he's a feisty dude. Maybe he can stop the run better as a pass rushing, a Milton Williams type of pass rusher who can stop the run a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe that gives you a little bit more versatility on the D line, because obviously, Vic Fangio would like to stop the run with 4-man front, but hasn't run that as much. So that's going to be interesting. I think he's the sleeper. And everybody else, I don't see them getting.
I like the linebacker from
Munden,
Georgia.
He's a good one. That would be my third if I went to a third.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna beat Trotter out, and I think he's gonna be your starter in the opening of the season. If Nakobe's not ready,
this is actually a decent sleeper, McWilliams, because he's more of a slot. And you just mentioned it. Hey, what if we don't like, the outside corners? They kick Cooper DeJean out, and all of a sudden they're like, Keely Ringo ain't playing slot. Maybe Eli Ricks could. I don't see that. He's a longer dude. He's not really slot build. Mac McWilliams is a slot. So, hey, maybe he's a good sleeper pick.
Let me ask you one last one here. If Nakobe Dean is able to get on the field and he's able to play, and he has a good season, but he gets banged up again. I'm not saying loses significant time, but he loses like a game or two. How are you looking at him? What does he have to do to remain a Philadelphia Eagle and get a contract extension? And what will that look like do you think they're out on him now? Or do you think they're looking at him as a guy where they can't? I mean, they're moving off of Goddard because of injuries. They're not moving off him because he sucks. They're moving off him because of money. So when you look at Nakobe, he has 100 tackles again.
Right.
He's banged up. He misses some games. He's in and out of the lineup. Is there anything he could do to get a contract extension this year?
I think he's in a tough spot. That's why I brought up him trying to get back, because it's very unlikely that he has a future in Philly. But if he doesn't hit the field this year, he's going to have a tough time on the open market as well, absolutely, with all those injuries. So I don't see it, though. I mean, Sills, hear me out. If he has an unbelievable season, all right, and he makes the linebacker core the best in the NFL alongside Zach Bond, are they going to pay him near top market money? Zach Bond's under contract now. There's no way. And if he stinks, the answer's already answered. And if he gets hurt again, unless he would take if he hits the open market and nobody wants to pay him, and you can bring him back for $3.5 million, maybe.
Way. No way.
$5 million? $5 million?
Bro, I think that guy's going to
listen to my scenario. If he plays great, he's gone because he's going to get paid. If he stinks, he's going to the open market. If he gets hurt, go again. All right, he's been hurt 3 years. Gets hurt again, and he goes into the open market and he's not getting good money. Could he just return to the Eagles for $4 or $5 million?
3-year contract, $15 million, something like that. At 5,
maybe 2 years, 12 mil, 6 million.
Yeah, 2 years, because you don't want to insult the kid too bad. That's right. What you do, like 12 million,
right? Like
12 million over 2 years.
But he's not going to get paid.
No, unless he had. I'll tell you what. How much? If he had played the way he played a year ago, and he was a free agent right now, how much money would you pay him, or would you not pay him? Would you let him go into his final year without a contract? If right now, would you let him go into this final year without a contract? That's kind of what they're doing now.
I'd let him.
He had a great year.
They opted to pay Bond, though.
Agreed.
They're not going to pay both, especially now they're getting rid of void years, Sills. We got to pick your poison nowadays, brother.
Yeah, there's no question about it here. Hey, by the way, how about this one here? Then we'll get to the supers. Guys, hit the like button. I wrote down the 10 most important players this coming season in the NFL. And this doesn't mean the best players. I'm talking about TV. I'm talking about storylines. I got Mahomes 1. I got Dak 2. I want to know if he's going to suck or be decent. Cowboys are always a storyline. Highest rated team in NFL history, Dallas Cowboys. Is Hurts better? Of course. That's not the comment here. I think he's a storyline. You told me they're getting Dak back. They should be better. I think that's a storyline, Zander. Number 3, I got Barkley. Does that guy really go for 2K again? I want to know if that guy is going to carry the mail for the Eagles, because if that guy gets close, Zander, to 2,000 yards, that dude's going to be the MVP this year. You can't go 3,900 yards and go like this. I'm sorry, man. That's a quarterback award.
I happen to agree with that.
Josh Allen, number 4. Hey, dude, you going to do it or not? Get the easiest schedule of any team that I see that has a shot to get to the Super Bowl. Let's go.
I got that question on Lamar Jackson bigger than I have it on Josh Allen.
Okay, he's 5. I want to know, get this. He might be the greatest athlete ever to play the position of quarterback since John Elway. Well, dude, you got to hang a Lombardi trophy.
Dude, and he's got a good team around him.
The dude in Philly's lapping you.
And Lamar has a good team, a good system, a good GM, everything.
And they improved the defense.
Dude, they got a bunch of dudes on defense over there.
Yep, absolutely. I got Jalen Hurts number 6. And here's why. I want to know this year, have you ever seen anything like this? Here's a conversation. Well, who is he? Oh, shit, he's been to
You're right. Yeah.
There's 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Okay. He had the 30th ranked passing offense. And every year he's played in Philly, he's been a different Jalen Hurts. That's a story to me. I want to know what version of Jalen Hurts this year we're going to see. Is it going to be a new and a different Jalen Hurts? Every year he's played since 2001 has been completely different. Nothing has remotely looked close. He has not had one consistent. And again, I'm not talking about him not having success here. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just talking about, do we not agree? It's 4 different Jalen Hurtses.
It is. It is. It has been. And I think that's a good thing, because I think he's needed to be a chameleon as a quarterback for the team based on what each game, what each season, what each, version of the Eagles has called for. And he's been able to meet the moment. So I think it's a good thing, but I think it's a very fair question to say, what's he going to be this year? Is it going to be another new version, a 5th version, or is it going to be one of the previous 4 years that we've seen? I'm not sure. My guess would be a hybrid of 23 and 24. Last year, he did a lot of handing off to Barkley, and there was a lot of run game stuff. I think that's going to stay, but I do think he's going to pass the ball a little bit more this year. The efficiency was good last year. I think the amount of attempts will go up this year, and that's my guess. But honestly, it'd be a better guess to just say I think it's going to be a 5th version of him.
Number 7, I got Joe Burrow, because I would say this if I was Joe Burrow. Bro, I mean, Cincinnati, you're either going to help me win something here, and I mean a Super Bowl. We still got there. Boomer Esiason and Ken Anderson in the past of the Bengal history have gotten to a Super Bowl. Are you going to get to a Super Bowl and win it, Joe Burrow? You're the closest thing to Tom Brady. Because I'll tell you something, Zander. This year in 25, if I'm Joe Burrow and I don't see my team get out of the gate strong, or I'm 0-4 again, or 0-3, or whatever the hell they were a year ago, and I'm fighting to be 500, I want out.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't want to end my career in a place where I had never a shot to win.
He doesn't have a shot to win there. It doesn't matter what he does.
I agree.
They had one chance. They had one chance. They made it to the Super Bowl with one of the worst offensive lines you've ever seen perform in a Super Bowl, and they didn't win. And after that day, when they walked out of that arena, I don't think they ever had a chance to go back.
No.
And I don't think they're going to go back. I do not think he's like Brady, like you. I think he's close physically, doesn't have the mentality, in my opinion, doesn't stand in the pocket and deliver the ball in certain moments when the pressure's on. I think he bails much quicker than Brady did. Brady had to throw the ball. He's great, though. He's a great player, but he's in Cincinnati. I mean, he's not winning there, dude. No way.
Tom Brady's not winning in Cincinnati either. He's
not.
I
agree with that. Yeah.
And if Burrow were in New England, he'd win there because they know how to build an organization around an arm. See, it's totally where you go. If you have the dynamic of Howie, owner, and coaching and decision-making, you're going to go far. Here's number 8 for me, Jaden Daniels. Dude, people said he had the greatest rookie season of all time in NFL history. Okay. You carried the team, put it on your back. You went up to Detroit and smoked them. What's your encore? Okay, where are we going here? How have you elevated your game?
He set the bar high, man. Like, think about it. Remember, we talked about this. It'd be one thing if he took the Commanders to a 9-win team last year, and you were like, all right, great job. Took that organization around. What's your next step? He took them to 12 wins in the NFC title game. Like, it's going to be hard to do that again in that organization. It is. I mean, think about it. You just talked to me about Joe Burrow, and I'm not saying the Commanders are close to them right now. I think they've operated much better with the new ownership. But that dude is pretty damn good, and he won, 8 games last year?
Yeah.
So that whole team has to continue to elevate, and I don't know if that whole team is ready to do it. I'm saying he goes backwards this year.
It's a great point about Jalen elevating his game.
Right.
At 9, I got Justin Herbert. I mean, dude, I think he's a big storyline. I mean, are you elevating your game? When are you Jalen elevated his wins. He had, whatever that means, the result is that Hurts has elevated the wins. Okay? He had a better 22 Super Bowl than he did this past Super Bowl, and he was the MVP, but he still upped his game.
Every time. I mean, look, when the lights are bright, Sills, we talked about that. Would you rather, I mean, as great as it is to watch a quarterback throw for 4,500 or 5,000 yards, if they throw 3 picks and can't play in the playoffs, what's the point?
Or they can't win 3 in a row. They can't win 3 games in a row.
What's the point? So you gotta have a guy that can answer in the playoffs. Justin Herbert has never done that. Last year, how many picks did he have last year in the playoffs?
He didn't have a lot because I don't think he had a lot of volume of throws.
They
ran the ball. I think they were 3rd in rushing. Let's get to some of these supers before JAKIB.
Yeah, we got JAKIB coming up here.
And we'll talk
Jason,
to
18 checks in. What's up, Jason? He says, I have a feeling Ringo starts at cornerback 2 and Cooper stays in the slot, but the Eagles will pay him whatever. They were obsessed with him in the draft, and he's a positionless player. Eagles pay whoever they want. I think he's right. They're going to pay Cooper DeJean. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kyle Kokorski says, why does Makuba remind me of Honey Badger?
Huh. That's a pretty good
comparison. Makuba reminds me of Gardner Johnson.
Is he as big?
He does. No, but I just mean he's a physical player.
Attitude?
He's an in-your-face attitude. Not the same level, but I mean, he hits you like that. He talks like that. And I think he's got better coverage ability. So I don't know. The thought of Makuba replacing Gardner Johnson is still a pipe dream, but I think he could be comparable in coverage, probably not from playmaking ability yet. Ben says, no matter what, they can't change anything until 2030. I don't think that's true.
That's not true, Ben. They had a CBA a couple of years ago that Gene Upshaw had, and
I think he's talking about the TV deal too, Sills. But you're right. They can rip it up, and there's opt-outs on all of the TV agreements.
Let me say this to you, and I love JAKIB, and he knows how much me and him are still to this day NFLPA guys. The NFL Players Association has no balls. They will never fight the owners. Upshaw had a great deal lined up, and if they void those remaining deals on what makes Howie able to manipulate the cap, that's destructive to what the Eagles are doing and how they built that team. They can rip that bitch up anytime they want because the owners don't respect the NFLPA.
Yep. Rod on the bench says, I might be dense, but can either of you explain how void years work on the cap or refer where someone gets info on it? I missed the boat here about it. They're confusing. I will say that.
Okay. Like I said, one thing that when we're talking about how the cap works, again, what owners will like to do or what general managers will do, they will void and add remaining years onto a contract at the back end of it. And those are the voidable years so that they can have a lower cap. But just the reason that the Eagles are so good at it is because the Eagles pay the money up front. Okay? And the utilizing of the salary cap with the void years is so important when it comes to how they're able to use those voided years allow you. Here, I'll give you an example. Here's the purpose. Void years are essential. I'm reading from the NFLPA's playbook here. Void years are essential placeholders in a contract that the player is not expected to play on. That helps teams manage their salary cap, especially when signing players to multiple-year deals, and significantly in the signing bonus. So that helps you out. Like I said, for instance, imagine a player signing a 3-year contract with $10 million signing bonus. They add 2 voidable years. The team's salary cap hit for the signing bonus is 2.5 per year over the 4 years. Okay? So it lowers the signing bonus on your hits to the cap. And it allows you to stay under the salary cap. That's what Howie has done. If they take those void years away, you're not keeping that old line intact.
Yeah, it's tough. Riding the bench. I'm going to try and get a one of those cap guys on Birds 365 too and break it down because it is confusing. Kimberly Sirico checks in. She says the game will become all flag football. Cancel culture.
Hey, by the way, I'd love to see Tom Brady in the Olympics, coming out of retirement, winning himself a gold medal, and playing in
I didn't even
Los
think
Angeles
about that, Sills.
at 60 years old. Brady.
Wait, you hear this? You hear this? do you hear real quick? You hear this flag football quarterback crying about the NFL guys? I'm like, listen, man, I know you've worked hard at flag football and everything, but are you really going to try and tell me this 5'6" dude is better at football than these NFL quarterbacks? Man, come on, man, go sit down. All right, go sit down.
Do you know who the flag football guys are right now on the team? They're the guys when you go and you're going to play tackle football in your backyard. And you go like this. Yeah, I'm not taking that guy. I'm not taking
his
that
last
guy.
Round.
Shit, I would take JAKIB before I'd take one of them dudes on the roster right now. And
all right, so thank you, brother.
60-plus years old. I appreciate you too. Zander, great stuff, you and John. Keep up the great work, brother.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. See you guys.
All right. JAKIB's going to come up here in a second. Yeah, so the flag football guys are crying that the NFL guys are going to – dude. It's like intramural football. And you got the intramural guys crying about NFL guys like T. Higgins and maybe A.J. Brown. Hey, who are you going to pick? A.J. Brown or Bob